The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
Is this thing on? 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. The microphone is working. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, non-gender conforming individuals. Welcome to another live stream. Something in between the Benjamin Dixon Show and just a evening chat by the fireside. As you can see on this side of me, my half-lit Christmas tree, because we celebrate around here. We just kind of enjoy trying to find something special, even in COVID-19, right? It's COVID-19 and it is still time for festivities. Why not? Even if it's just us in our household, which we all just got back from doing, right? With, Thanksgiving. I hope everyone, or whatever, Turkey Day, day off of work, whatever you call it. I hope you enjoyed it, even if it was nothing more than just having dinner with the people in your household, which is what we did. So I hope you had it. I hope you enjoyed it. And more than anything else, glad that you're here. Glad to be back. Hello to everyone in the chat room. Thanks so much. I see you over there on Facebook, Altamia. K-Love says, so no war on Christmas for you, according to the right wing. We hate Christmas. Hey, listen, I don't care what you celebrate. If you celebrate like the beginning of winter, if you celebrate the Christian tradition, whatever, just enjoy yourself. Enjoy we have enough. Just real quick sidebar. I'm not going to go on a tangent too long. We have a lot of videos, but we have quite literally enough problems for us to actually worry about, for us to be out here creating things like whether or not there's such thing like the war on Christmas. Okay. There's enough real things happening across the world that are so much more important than something contrived. Right. But nevertheless, here we are having to deal with the ridiculousness, the intentional obtuseness of this kind of society, this war on Christmas. I love it. Anyway, Festivus, Pete McSee says that they celebrate Festivus, I'm assuming. Good evening, everyone. Everyone hit that like. Thank you, Tanya. Hit that like button, that share button, that subscribe button. And let's get this party started. Sean Hannity. I honestly tried to put accurate descriptions for tonight's episode by just saying like the words, the key words, like pardon, cool. But the conspiracy theories that they're spreading are assassination, red flag, couldn't put that in the title, and firing squads. Well, that's not the conspiracy theory. That's actually the thing that they're actually trying. So I couldn't put it in the description, but I can definitely play you the stuff. So let's start with Sean Hannity. He's talking about the idea that the president should pardon himself and his family. Take a listen to this clip.
Anyway, one of the reasons that we got to this point, and this happened, is because of the diligent lawyering, hard work through a lot of difficult days. And I mean difficult, with a very, very stubborn judge that made no sense to me. Emmett Sullivan, in this case. Sidney Powell is the attorney for General Flynn. First of all, I'm very happy for the general, for his family, but 4 years of his life basically robbed from him. How are you, Sidney?
Well, we're good, thank you, Sean. It's a very bittersweet situation. Of course, the relief of being out from under a wrongful criminal prosecution is huge, and we're very grateful to the president for the pardon. But at the same time, from the time I came in the case, I was determined to make the legal system work the way it should have to exonerate an innocent man. It would be nice if we had a, quote, criminal justice system, end quote, that actually worked in that fashion. But unfortunately, I'd estimate that 5 to 10% of our prison population right now is not guilty. But the system did not work as it should have to exonerate them, and we've got to do a better job of that.
Okay.
Not everybody can get a presidential pardon.
Okay. Well, that's a good point. And, I watched Andrew Weissman come out and literally say, Biden's AG needs to go after Donald Trump. And I'm like, the president out the door needs to pardon his whole family and himself because they want this witch hunt to go on in perpetuity. They're so full of rage and insanity against the president. I mean, can the president, I assume that the power of the pardon is absolute and that he should be able to pardon anybody that he wants to.
It is absolute. It's in the Constitution. I don't know about his authority to pardon himself, but it should not be necessary. And aside from that, the president's going to get another 4 years in office to finish the job he started because the election fraud we are uncovering is massive. And there were foreign actors involved in our system. People from Germany and Serbia and China were all in our election the night it happened. In fact,
I want to get into that with you in a second, but I want to just stay on Flynn for a second. I promise.
I mean, at this point, she's just listing off nations. Afghanistan, Venezuela. We saw what Uzbekistan did. We saw. Come on. Now there was one part of her argument that actually sounded like it was authentic and in good faith, but everything else around it was completely absurd. And the reality is that they really believe this stuff. Like, this is not for play for them. This is for real. They honestly believe that Donald Trump is getting ready to have another 4 years. They believe it so much that they're going to have to, it's going to be very difficult for them to come to terms with the fact that they have been living in a dream world. They have been fooling themselves for the last 4 years, or I'm sorry, not 4 years. They've been fooling themselves for the last few weeks, thinking that Donald Trump is going to actually pull this out. My contention is that it's the fact that he would try. That's the problem, right? It's the fact that he would try that is actually the problem. Whether or not he's successful it definitely is material, right? It's not immaterial, but the fact that the president of the United States will try is the problem. So where they are lamenting as the very worst possible idea in this country is that Donald Trump would lose, for them to get what they want, they actually have to overthrow American democracy. And to them, that's just the price that they have to pay to do what they think is right. Now, take everything that I just said and consider how they would want to behave when they finally come to terms with the fact that Joe Biden is the president of the United States, will be the president of the United States on January 20th, and that Donald Trump actually lost. You think about that. It should give you pause. Whether or not you should be concerned about it, that's up to you, right? Whether or not you think any of them are willing to act on it, that's your own risk assessment. But I do want you to understand the scope of this. Right. They are so committed to this idea that Donald Trump must win that they think that the proper and decent move here is for them to overthrow democracy. We see it as overthrowing democracy. They see it as, giving Donald Trump the proper 4 more years that he clearly earned. They just see it as the greatest expression of democracy. And that, my friends, that inability to see themselves for what they really are, I can attest to you, is probably the most dangerous aspect of conservatism in 2020. I love that. I love that my shit is so dope, y'all. My show is that commercial break. We just did that little break. It was an interlude, wasn't a commercial break. It was just an interlude. But that thing is busting. Like, This isn't, we're live. Like I'm reading your comments live and we just like, just drop it in there just cause, right? Anyway. All right, let's see what other madness Fox News is trying to spread to America.
I also feel bad that Joe fractured his foot. I feel bad. I have a source that told me that when Kamala Harris heard, you know what she said?
What?
She said his foot, it was supposed to be his neck.
Oh, Dudley.
It was an anonymous source. And so I'm not going to be revealing my anonymous source.
Well, the Secret Service may think that dogs are too dangerous for Joe Biden to be around after this weekend. So we wish him well in his injury. And I can see how that.
I honestly, I'm not going to comment on this too much. I have no problem with failed attempts at comedy. And I don't have any problem with dark humor. I will say though, this is what you resort to when you don't have anything else, to be sure. This is what you resort to when you have no other way of consoling yourself over the fact that you, sir, you, ma'am, you, non-gender conforming individual, you lost. Period. That's all it means. It means that you have no other way of asserting some sense of victory other than stooping to jokes about assassinations. Right? Now, in the grand scheme of things, I don't really care about the joke either way. The jokes don't bother me either way. It doesn't bother me. It is the fact that this is our news media that is terrifying. Let's go.
Well, look, I still think that the president will get 4 more years in office. I think it'll be the next 4 years because this thing is far from over.
Laura, you just had certifications today in Arizona, in Georgia, in Wisconsin. You heard Geraldo moments ago say, it's time to accept the outcome of this. What are you seeing or hearing out there that he is not?
Well, those certifications are just procedural steps, and the reality is the Electoral College does not vote in their states until December 14th. Congress doesn't actually certify anything until the beginning of January, so we've got plenty of time. Sadly, we have...
Whoa. They have plenty of time. To do what? To overthrow the will of the people. That's what they have plenty of time to do. Think about that notion. Think about the notion that they have plenty of time to overturn the will of the people. Had this been any closer, they would actually stand a chance of doing this. So I want to reassure or remind people that this is not a victory. Okay. Getting Donald Trump out of office is... All right, let me take it back. Obviously, it's a victory, but it does not give us victory over the problems that Donald Trump was just too feckless to exploit properly. You see what I'm saying? Donald Trump, if Donald Trump hadn't been a feckless moron, then he had the magic key. He had the cheat code to democracy, which is be a president who literally doesn't care. Just be a president who has no concern about decorum. Don't have no concern about no shame. Get a president who is shameless, and you could get away with whatever you could overthrow this democracy, because one of the critical components of this democracy is the peaceful transfer of power. Right? Handing the baton of leadership to the next president, win, lose, or draw. Well, I guess it's not win, lose, or draw, but lose, right? Not, you get it. And if you just ignore that, then what do? How do you resolve that? Well, you have to have tremendous pressure from the political apparatus around you. Well, what if one of those political parties that make up the apparatus around us is complicit? What do you do when there is a complete party in power that's willing to go along with the seizure of power in this country? It just so happens that Donald Trump is too feckless to accomplish it. So they are smart enough, Republicans are smart enough to not go all in on this endeavor with Donald Trump. Had Donald Trump just been a little more competent, you better damn well believe Republicans would have gone along with this seizure of power. You understand what I'm saying? They would absolutely go with the overthrow of American democracy in order to maintain political power if Donald Trump had just been a little bit better at it. So when I say that this is not a victory, I'm incorrect in that getting rid of Donald Trump is absolutely a victory. But we do not have victory over the problems that would lead to the end of this democracy, because those problems are still there. Those problems will remain. And especially if you're one of these people who honestly believe that it's time to go to brunch. Well, first of all, it's not time to go to brunch until we get a vaccine and everybody gets vaccinated. That's number one. Number two, it's not time to go to brunch. Or let's go to brunch, but at brunch and then after brunch, let's discuss why it is that it is far more detrimental for us to turn a blind eye to what's happening in the Biden administration just because we got rid of Donald Trump. That's the real danger. Because if we get complacent with the idea that we are victorious and we got rid of Donald Trump, so we can go to brunch and let Biden handle everything. Fact of the matter is that they literally will not change the structural problems that are there for the exploitation, for the picking of some authoritarian who is actually just better than Donald Trump. I'm not saying that we should capitulate to white supremacy for fear of a worse fascist. Right? There were people who were trying to make that argument this summer. No, I'm not saying that. I don't think I'm saying that. Let me say it again. Let me check myself. What I'm saying is that well, hell, let me think about it on commercial break. Let's do that. That's even better.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
I told y'all this is live. I told y'all this is live. Like, I'm like, mid-thought, I'm like, man, I'm flowing. But damn, I just really kind of forgot. What I'm saying is primarily is we can't throw in the towel and think that we are good because we got rid of Donald Trump. We can't afford to do that. We especially can't afford to do that with the Biden administration, because there are people in that administration who have a propensity to let it, they just want to go back to the way things were. Well, the way things were literally is what led to Donald Trump. I don't just mean in the classical leftist argument that's going on right now, in the sense that we should capitulate to white supremacy in some kind of, hostage situation, give them some kind of material benefit, or they're going to start burning crosses on your lawn. Right. I don't know. That's a gross oversimplification, but I'm just saying, like, whatever your worst imagined argument from a leftist is, this has nothing to do with any of that, right? It has everything to do with the fact that we're going to have to continue to put pressure on this administration to change the structural threads that Donald Trump or any future president could simply pull on in order to undermine democracy. We got rid of Donald Trump, but if Donald Trump had just done a couple of things differently. One, had a little closer race. We saw what happened in 2000. The Republican Party would absolutely get behind Donald Trump if it was remotely as close as 2000. They would be fighting tooth and nail right now. They'll be in front of the Supreme Court right now, right? And then also just all of the other ways that Donald Trump, like the fact that if he chooses to ignore the peaceful transfer of power, what do we do? Well, we appeal to, this is the same thing we just went over. We appeal to what? We appeal to the political party structure. But what if the political party structure is willing to go along with this seizure of power? Well, then there you go, folks. That's the whole ball game. And that doesn't go away just because we got rid of Donald Trump. That just means the problem is kicked down the field for us to have to figure out later on. And I feel like it's particularly dangerous to turn a blind eye to our systemic failings, particularly with Joe Biden's administration, because every time we have a respite, we end up going even further to the right. So I am not saying that we give in to this propensity to say, we just got to throw some money at them. No, some of these people are deplorables. Some of these people are really scumbags. Some of these people are just straight up racist, period, full stop. In a conversation. Like, why are we wasting any more time arguing over this? They voted for Donald Trump in 2020. Pretty sure their economic anxiety, while most of our economic anxiety was exacerbated by COVID-19, some of them are just sitting at home chilling, right? They voted for Donald Trump because of the racism, not in spite of the racism. Can we stop with that debate? That said, no matter how much money you throw at them, it's not going to resolve some of these underlying issues that are at the core of this country's dilemma. Basically put, this is not going away just by getting rid of Donald Trump. This is not going away just by giving out. We need Medicare for all, but that doesn't fix the problem that we're talking about here. There is a portion of America that voted for Donald Trump precisely because of the bigotry and the racism. That doesn't go away when we get rid of Donald Trump. And it would be very foolish of us to rest on our laurels because we got rid of Donald Trump. And it's critical for us to pay attention to the moves of the Biden administration, especially those moves that would create or leave in place the exact conditions necessary for this to go down even worse in 30 years. You're not, maybe your parents or maybe you're older and you're not going to be here. But in 30 years, if we don't fix this dilemma of the strong man, America is vulnerable to a strong man. It just is. When democracy is an agreement, at the end of the day, democracy is an agreement. When democracy is an agreement, it is uniquely vulnerable to a strong man. We got to figure that out because this is not a problem that's going to go away with Donald Trump. And if we are foolish enough to think that it is, then we're going to be even more blindsided when it comes around in an even more pernicious fashion. The conversation actually overlaps or parallels one that I have in my head about automation and artificial intelligence. But I think I'm going to table that one for the patron party on Friday night, because we have some really good conversations after the patron party. We have the patron and the Twitch subscriber party. It's an actual Zoom party. And if you have ever been anywhere near my DJ, that's my DJ. If you know anything about my DJ, you know that he is probably one of the best, if not one, just hands down, one of the dopest DJs in terms of a Zoom party in this entire COVID-19 experience. It has been live. And we're going to have one on Friday night. And I'm going to be honest with you. I honestly think you want to be there. So that's going on Friday night. And then every other Friday night, we have the, what is it called? Ask Me Any Question. And that has been extremely, last one was dope. The last one was dope. But that said, in the meantime, let's have a patron party.
Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and get twice the content and unfiltered interviews without any of the commercial interruptions.
And here we go. At this point in every single episode, I'd like to take a minute to thank the people who make the show possible, our patrons and our Twitch subscribers. Very special welcome to Robin M. Thank you for becoming a patron. ABX, thank you for becoming a patron. Daniel S., thank you so much for becoming a patron. Oh, wait a minute. Welcome to our newest Twitch subscribers. Wait a minute, I lost my list. BB Tonya, Click Dat Kitty 40, Siscat, LJFA Super, Necron Merlin. You too can become a part of this prestigious and prodigious patron family by going to patreon.com/The BPD Show, where you get twice the content, uncut, unfiltered interviews, none of the commercial interruptions, and you give me the ability to speak power into the powerless, whether the powerful likes it or not. Yeah.
Welcome back to The Benjamin Dixon Show. Visit us online at thebenjamindixonshow.com.
Oh man, I guess I'm finally moving into some level of success. Somebody asked me, why am I holding up an Illuminati sign? I wouldn't know an Illuminati sign from a Crip sign. Actually, I would know a Crip sign. I would know. Definitely would know that. But I'm not going to know what the hell is an Illuminati sign, somebody. But I guess that's just kind of the lay of the land for doing this online media stuff. Reading a couple of comments from the comment section. Ben, do we need to worry about Trump and his mental illness, or is it just a matter of waiting it out? I think we have to be prepared, right? I think we have to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Because if we don't prepare for the worst, then we're not going to face reality that there's just some things we got to change. There's some structural failings in America's democratic experiment. And if we don't change that, then it's just waiting for someone else to come along to exploit it. So it'll be irresponsible. Let's see. Trump exposed the underbelly of America from Rainey Terrell. Absolutely agree with that. Actually, I was going to get into the comments, but I've got a lot more video. Let's go through some video before I get to all the comments. Here we go.
It's not even being propelled by Trump. Because I have a feeling that if it wasn't the movement, if it wasn't the millions of voters that are pissed off, Trump would accept this. It's not about him. The media's got this totally wrong. He just happens to be in front of the parade. It's the people that are pushing this because they believe, and according to the polls, the Rasmussen poll, there is a belief that this was a fraudulent election. It's like average of 40%. It was 75% Republican, 30% Democrat believe this was fraudulent, right? So this isn't driven by the media. This is a feeling in the public. He's actually operating on the will of the people. He's not pushing this.
All right, Juan, you want to...
Oh man, I'm laughing because it's the chicken or the egg argument. He's right. This is being pushed by the people, but it's being pushed by the people because it was first pushed by Fox News over the last 20 years. So that's why I'm laughing, because the irony of it is they manufactured this very consent that is now pushing Republicans into the land of fascism. It's because of Fox News. They're like, oh, the people really want the America to overthrow the results of the election that was fraudulent. I feel like this chair is about to give way. That would be the funniest, bro, if this chair had just collapsed. Oh man, I'm playing with my entire life as an influencer here, right? Because if this cracks, like if this chair collapses in the middle of my show, there's instantly going to be at least 100 friggin' memes of this. Bro, this chair is not playing with me today. This chair said, okay, let me get back to my point and bring it in. Fox News, they really believe. Oh, Fox News created Fox News manufactured the very consent that is now coming back to push conservatives and Republicans into the land of fascism. You know what I mean? It was the product of the derangement of the 24-hour news cycle in the first place, but add on everything is a red alert, right? Everything is, America has been so conditioned by this type of news media, and it is itself the driving force behind the creation of Donald Trump. So just hearing him say this was laughable because he's like, no freaking self-awareness whatsoever. None. Like, bro, you are literally in the belly of the beast of the reason that Donald Trump exists in the first place. And the reason that these people believe that they are entitled, the people in the audience who are pushing this idea of Trump challenging the results, it's being driven by the derangement that was fueled by your network. It's being driven by people who believe that they have the right to overthrow democracy because they can't cope with the reality that they lost. That's just a bit, that's a little bit over the top. That's a little bit too on the nose. One more from Fox News. Fox News had a hell of a day today. What's up with my mouse? A little bit more.
I mean, how do you have a down ballot wave on one hand and then the opposite wave on the top of the ticket? That hasn't happened for 120 years. You're saying the guy that got more votes than any other person in U.S. history doesn't have coattails? Or Donald Trump, the incumbent, actually got more votes in his reelection race and ended up losing? That hasn't happened in 150 years. That Joe Biden lost 17 out of the 18 bellwethers. That Joe Biden won less counties than Hillary, 200 less counties than Barack Obama, and still came out ahead. That Joe Biden lost Florida, lost Ohio, and still won the election. That hasn't happened since 1960, when JFK, some home cooking in Chicago. Or he underperformed Hillary in every major metropolitan area except Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Detroit, and Atlanta. Or the fact that Donald Trump won more of a percentage of minority voters for Republicans since 1960, won 95% of Republican voters, won the middle class, yet still lost? I mean, why isn't the media saying, Joe, what's your secret?
Because it's clear. The secret is the fact that at least a handful of Republicans just abstained from voting for your guy. They weren't going to vote for Joe Biden, but they had enough. I mean, honestly, like some of the exit polling showed that it was the loss in percentage of white men that ultimately did Donald Trump in. Fewer white men voted for Donald Trump in 2020 than in 2016. It's just what the data says. So to that end, all it says is that there are a handful of Republicans for whom it wasn't okay. The racism wasn't okay. The cruelty wasn't okay. I just wish they would have got that memo in 2016 rather. I wish they would have understood that back then. 250,000 lives later, it's kind of like, you guys you don't deserve a cookie, right? You don't deserve a cookie, but at the same time, at least you still didn't support this fascist. Despite everything that has happened over the last 4 years, at least you didn't vote for the fascist this time. The bar is so low, it may as well be in hell. But at least we found the bar. At least we found it. That's what I'm looking for. I would just like to say to Robert, it's your Y-O''RE. You're the fascist. You guys see my daughter running in the background? Oh, man. All right, let's keep rocking. More footage.
The Justice Department's issued a new rule that could allow federal executions to take place by firing squad, electrocution, or poison gas starting on December 24th. It's not clear whether any methods other than lethal injection would be used for the 3 executions scheduled in January after the new rule takes effect. Joe Biden said during campaigning he now supports eliminating the federal death penalty despite previously helping to expand it.
Did I hear that part right? I just got to play that one more time.
The Justice Department's issued a new rule that could allow federal executions to take place by firing squad, electrocution, or poison.
Fire squad, execution, poison gas. In this pro-life country. You gotta have some special, you have to have some special commitment to murder. Murder. You gotta have some special commitment to murder to go back to a firing squad. Bro, this chair is about to break. And I'm so committed to this goddamn show that I refuse to move. But when this shit finally gives in, okay, it shall not happen on this watch. Not on the Benjamin Dixon show. Let's go back to this pause, this closing opening screen. I'll play some music or something, but hell, not today. Not today, Satan. Not today, devil. Not today. Okay. You're not going to catch me slipping. I've spent too many years building this damn platform for it to all go down just because a chair broke in the middle of a live stream. So welcome back to the episode. You have to have some, somebody said, $13 super chat, chair fund, bless up from the Gators. And then there was an earlier super chat. I want to get on the screen. Everybody's wondering today, did we lose Ben? Nope. Ben took a step away to make sure that he does not go down, both literally and figuratively, as the commentator who collapsed in the middle of an episode because his chair collapsed. I want to get back to this other super chat that I put up momentarily. There it is from Masha. Great. She said Republicans suddenly noticed the electoral college system and it is ridiculous. But back to what we were saying, because I'm the one. I'm the guy that the chair would collapse underneath. But anyway, that's some commitment to murder. You thought I forgot? I did, but I found it. That's some real commitment to murder, to be willing to bring back, like, what are we gonna do? Like, draw and quarter people going next? Like, when we run out of bullets, they are so committed that they're gonna go back to, like, they'll skip the guillotine for obvious reasons. They have enough self-awareness not to dare bring out a guillotine, right? But they would, I don't know. I feel like they're so committed that there's nothing that they won't do in order to kill people. And that is some real commitment. That's real commitment for people who consider themselves to be pro-life. Really?
Now, you might assume this would be based on, I don't know, science. So the most important criteria would be your age or your state of immunodeficiency. But in some states, officials have another idea. Your skin color should play a role in this. So if you assume that identity politics was just a harmless annoyance, that people couldn't actually die because of it, think again. Watch this clip from the governor of California.
Experts in safety, as well as experts looking at equity and looking at the distribution from a geriatric perspective, and looking at distributions, again, along the spectrum of making sure Black and brown communities disproportionately are benefited because of the impact they have felt disproportionately because of COVID-19.
So am I right in understanding, this is my first time watching this clip, in understanding that he's upset, but Black people will get this, will be prioritized to get this because we're disproportionately being killed by this? So he demands equity in getting a disease, but not equity in treating the disease. Let's see if I got it right. That might not be one-to-one. He wants us to have equality and equity of opportunity. No. He wants... Basically, there's no fancy way to put this. Bump it. This clown doesn't want us to change anything that will stop Black folks from being disproportionately affected by COVID-19. And he simultaneously does not want us to have any disproportionate treatment to address the disproportionate reality of what we're dying, man. We're dying. We are dying. Black folks especially, brown folks especially, poor folks especially. And we're dying disproportionately because we're in jobs that don't afford us the opportunity or the luxury to work from home or safe, secure studios. Because Black people are disproportionately poor in this country. We're dying, and you want to feign some contrived notion of righteous indignation as if it is an affront to the idea of justice itself for people who have been disproportionately affected by a virus to be prioritized in treatment. Justice to Tucker Carlson is to let us be disproportionately affected by the sickness, but don't dare be disproportionately treated by the cure. That's justice to Tucker Carlson. He is the chief propagandist for white supremacy. He is the chief propagandist for all of white supremacy.
COVID-19 cases continue to surge across the United States. Hospitalizations have topped 90,000 for the first time. 4 million new cases were recorded in November, double the record set in October, bringing the U.S. death toll to 267,000. Among the dead are over 100,000 residents and staffers at nursing homes. In 9 states, more than 1 in 1,000 people have died of coronavirus-related causes since March. Experts are warning the worst is yet to come, and the U.S. could see some 4,000 deaths per day this winter.
God.
Post-Thanksgiving holiday travel could also lead to what the government's lead.
Wow. 4,000 deaths a day throughout the winter. You know, I've come through kind of a transformative moment over the last couple of weeks. It kind of happens when you know. But anyway, no, for real. I've had this transformative moment in my personal life, my family household, and my friends. It was me. You know, it was me. It was me because I just couldn't see myself on some things, on a lot of things. To be quite honest with you, I'm not a good friend, folks. I'm a decent enough human being. But one of the things I came to terms with was that there's just some stuff that I just am oblivious to, and I'm so completely incapable of seeing it. It's almost like it's like looking in a mirror and not seeing yourself, like literally not seeing your reflection, like a damn vampire. I just can't see myself. That could be a verse. Anyway. And I think it's probably a good thing that it happened over the last couple of weeks, because it gives me much more context. This ain't about me. I'm just using me as an example. Y'all know I'll drop myself in the middle of a hurricane, of a tornado. Just throw myself out there. Just throw my shit out there for y'all to chew on, just to make an example, to make a point. All right. Their sacrifices must be made. I will make them. The point is that just like I just did not understand how I could not see myself in certain ways. America, can you not see yourself? 300,000 people, 4,000 people a day, and y'all out here still playing games. What the hell is wrong with y'all? What's wrong is that America has the complete inability to see itself. Ever. It has no ability, no sense of self-reflection at all. None. There's no collective consciousness. There's no collective maturation. There's no collective reflection. I've already said it. That's it. That's just it. We don't have the ability. We can't even look back at American history and condemn the people who wanted to overthrow the goddamn country. Till this day. We still got to coddle Confederates. We are so incapable of self-reflection, we couldn't even reflect on the people who wanted to overthrow the democracy. Now, come on, man. If there's anything that you need to sit down and have some truth and reconciliation over, if there's anything that you need to sit down and have some, but no, we're still coddling these clowns today. That's because America has a complete inability to reflect on itself, because America can't see itself. And because America can't see itself, that's how you get 200, 300. That's how you can skip from 2 to 300,000 deaths in a single sentence, because for a moment you forgot that it wasn't at the first atrocity of 100,000 or the second atrocity of 200,000, but it actually is at the atrocity of 300,000 Americans dead. And it's all because we could not see how absurd all of this shit is. All of it's just complete and total absurdity. We can't ask people to wear a mask without being ready to fight. Bruh. A mask. We can't shut down for 2 weeks when there was a period in this country when we could have got this under control by shutting down, let's say, a month. A month. Now we could shut down for probably 3 or 4 months and still not be able to get this under control. Because it's so much more important for me to continue in my, one of the things let's see, for once in my life, I'm going to slow down and really think about what I'm going to say before I say it. Okay. Okay, nope. Not saying, I'm not sharing that one. Take it that one with me. But the point is that we're dealing with a group of people who prioritize their self. I could put it like this. At the end of the day, when the rubber met the road, you have those of us who prioritized ourselves versus those of us who prioritized other people. And that comes in different forms. The most noble forms, in my opinion, are those who continue to sacrifice themselves literally by being essential workers. Hands down. Whether they're doctors or whether they are store clerks stocking the shelves. Those are the people who are the most valiant in all of this. Or it could be the other side of it. Those of us who are like, the best thing I could possibly do for everybody else is to stay out of public. And if I can't stay out of public, the very best thing I could do is to make sure that I wear a mask and I socially distance. We can't even get people to do that part, man. That part. The part that would make it easier for the people who don't have the luxury of staying your ass at home. There's so many people who don't have the luxury of staying at home. So those of us who are staying at home or can should do everything that we can to make it easier on the people who can't. I just at the end of the day, the problem is that America is individualistic and we cannot solve a problem that requires collectivism with our individualistic spirit. Period. That's the problem. That's the problem. That is the problem. The problem is that America is built on individualism, and as soon as we come across a dilemma that requires collectivism, we failed. You cannot build a system on greed, individualism, selfishness, and expect it to last. You can't. There are There are too many challenges that require our collective effort for us to be an individualistic society. There are too many problems that we need to solve that require our collective effort for us to claim to be an individualistic society. We can't survive a pandemic without finally understanding that we have to be collectivists. So how do you think we're going to survive climate change? How do you think we're going to survive anything? Anything that's controlled internally. Like, I don't know how much collectivism would help us survive an asteroid that's coming. I mean, if we had enough time, sure, collectivism, right, would work. Right. But we just have issues that are exacerbated by our selfishness in this country, period. But selfishness is at the core of this country. So what do? You got to change it, man. It's like this thing with Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Right? Like, if you know you got a dictator, if you know you have a system that could be easily co-opted by a dictator, why the hell would you leave all of that in place unchanged? Similarly, if you know our society is so easily unraveled by individualism, why would we leave that in place? All right, let's read some super chats and a couple of comments from patrons. Patrons' priority in questions and answer. And of course, not only patrons, but also Twitch subscribers. Let's start with Masha from the patron questions. So, can you interview an expert about people getting out of cults or out of the alt-right? I feel like this would be helpful. That's actually a great idea. Especially with the complicated moment of how much do we blame Trump voters versus possibly welcoming them back. You know, I want to be careful here, because it has to be an individual by individual approach. It has to be. If you feel like there's a Trump supporter that could be won back, then you have to make that decision, right? My position generally hasn't changed. The effort is not worth it on the macro level, on the collective level. It is not worth it. But your family member might be the person who can be brought back. So on an individual level, on a micro level, absolutely. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. But in terms of like collectively, it ain't worth it. But your question is still great. I'll see if we can find an expert, because I think that is a brilliant idea. Dennis says, it seems like the political climate in America is like having only one good internet provider in your neighborhood that is able to jack up prices at will because they have no rival. In America, it's either take baby steps with Democrats or deal with Republicans who want to walk backwards. Right. How can pressure be applied when there is no real incentive for Democrats to improve? In parliamentary systems, if there's not a viable majority to form a government, the party with the most seats must form a coalition government with a smaller party. Yep. That comes with concessions on policies or leadership positions. It seems like progressives constantly get rolled. This is a really long question. Damn. Last part of it says, it seems like progressives constantly get rolled on despite doing the work, such as in Arizona and Georgia, which were won by grassroots, not by Lincoln Project. Yes. When does that work turn into seats at the table? And how can we ransom that seat by leveraging support for policy concessions? I don't know, but that was a wonderful question. No, I'm not messing with you. Let me see if I can grab the key points here. How can pressure be applied? Primary, everybody. Primary, everybody. Especially anybody who's part of the establishment. We need to start now. I'm Oh, and it was shortened by my producers. Holy cow! But I appreciate the question though. I'm not bugging. That's what the patrons' questions are for. But god damn, that was long. I'm sorry. We need to start primarying them right now. And to do so unapologetically. Because that's the only leverage that we have. Because those are the institutions of power that we have crafted. I'm being honest with you. I'm saving my energy. There's a lot of people who are like ready to fight, Joe Biden every step of the way right now. And I'm like, I personally feel like let them make their first move. Not because they're owed it. Not because you can't go ahead and criticize them. Everybody go ahead and criticize them. But there's something else at play here. We're dealing with a transition in the Democratic Party that has more to do with what's outside of the party than who's being installed into these positions. The institutional power that progressives are getting outside of the Democratic Party is a force to be reckoned with. You're not going to be able to ignore these organizations who can run candidates, these media organizations who can amplify candidates. You're not going to be able to ignore it. You're not. So while I know there is clearly a lot of power and resources that are allocated to these positions that are being filled by Joe Biden right now with people like Neera Tanden, who still has me blocked on Twitter, being appointed to the director of the office of the OMB. Is it the chair or the director? I forgot the official designation there. Neoliberal to her core. A throwback to the original Clinton administration back in the 90s, right? Will not do anything on behalf of the people. Let's just call a spade a spade. It is what it is. She's, whether she's in position to do something for the people / does she have the willingness is the real question. Does she have the willingness? No. She loves the title of progressive, not the actual power of doing things to liberate people, but I digress. But the point is that this is the type of person that Joe Biden is appointing. And while I know that we can't expect progressive things from people like Neera Tanden, I also know that there is political power outside of these appointments. So while they are amassing a lot of power with, I think his picks have been some of his picks. Joe Biden's picks have been pretty crappy, and the only thing that can make it worse is if he actually picks Rahm Emanuel. And if he picks Rahm Emanuel, we got some major problems. Houston, we have a problem. Seriously. That said, I'm more interested and more impressed by the political power that's being amassed outside of the Democratic Party. Because those are the institutions that we are able to leverage in order to put pressure on Joe Biden, on anybody, to outright fight Republicans. It doesn't matter. Like, whatever you're going to leverage that power for, it's important to have that power because that's the only way that you can actually hold people accountable. So I'm more impressed with those organizations than I am worried about Joe Biden's appointments. Okay. Thank you for that. Neo-Rec Nemorican on Twitch. Thank you for becoming a member. Subscribing via Twitch. Anastasia Beaverhouse, thank you for subscribing on Twitch. Bernard Strap, thank you for subscribing via Twitch. Siscat cheered. MLG 1977, thank you for the cheer. HD Wells, thank you for the cheer. Lil Moni cheered, thank you. Here are questions from Twitch. Got to get these in here. What do Nefti Vorikwa said, what do I think of Isaiah Washington? Is Isaiah Washington the actor that is a pro-Trump actor, black man? I want to make sure I know what you're talking about first before and then Andy from Ohio said that interlude was so dope. Well, thank you, Andy. I do my best to put this stuff together. Isaiah Washington, yeah, so he is the black man actor who supports. He doesn't strike me as a good faith person. He doesn't strike me as a good faith person. So I have learned the value of refusing is more accurate, to give my energy to bad faith actors. I refuse to do it. Might just have to fight bad faith actors, gaslighters, because they had no intention of doing right. They knew they were wrong in the first place. Anyway, moving on. Andy from Ohio, that was, thank you. Diabetic 86. Getting Trump out was the bare minimum that we could do if we wanted to continue as a democracy. Bottom line. Necro Merlin said, thanks for fighting the good fight, Ben. Thank you for fighting with me. The Diabetic 86 said, you tell someone a blackboard is orange enough times, their brain starts to compensate. Gaslighting is powerful, and delayed causality makes it more so. That's a great comment. Thank you for that. Durable AC said, what are your thoughts on the appointments Biden has made, and what are your thoughts on Trump's military moves at the Pentagon, as well as the Iranian scientists being rumored as being assassinated either by the U.S. or Israel? So I already talked about Joe Biden's appointments. Donald Trump's move at the Pentagon, they have been scaring me since he started making these moves immediately after he lost. So, but see, I don't consider it conspiracy theory when everything that you've shown me up to this point says that you would actually go for a military coup. Not a military coup. Well, yeah, a military coup. Yeah. Everything Donald Trump has shown me to this point has been that he would institute a military coup. I don't think that's conspiracy theory. So the very first time I saw him make those moves, I was like, holy shit. So anyway, America stay assassinating people, man. Nethi Borikwa said, individuals over collective or state control. Encouragement has been given to individualism, free enterprise, and the pursuit of profit. That is the problem with American people. Yeah. We literally reward the very best, the very worst in human nature. Okay. So how long do we think this was going to last? We've had a good go. Humanity was a good go. And then we came up with a civilization that rewarded the very worst in humanity. Dr. Poopsicle says, I'm a nurse and I appreciate all the recognition and love, but our cooks, store clerks, delivery drivers, etc., are the ones who keep us going. So on behalf of all the nurses, I thank you for looking after us. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Right. It's we need to have a conversation about what's essential and what's not. TGI Fridays, in my opinion, was not essential. The hospital is. I thought long and hard about this, but grocery stores are the most essential. Let somebody's kids go hungry. Showtime. So the grocery stores are essential workers. McDonald's is not. With the exception of feeding the essential workers who need to go there. Right? Because they're working. Right? So obviously there's some supply chain of needs for essential workers that would probably open up a couple of restaurants like McDonald's. Fine. Good. Okay. I'll give you that. But we have entirely too much open when you consider the stakes. 4,000 people a day. I just can't assume, or rather, I make the assumption that it's very likely that if I don't do everything in my human ability, I'll be one of those 4,000. So anyway, Diabetic 86 said we could turn it around in a generation if we focus on getting the children truthful and encompassing education, and everyone can agree to our children are the future, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a grand thesis. I need to go to bed so I can get up and exercise in the morning because I've been falling short. Anyone who's met me in person knows how funny that last sentence was. Anyway, I digress. So much more to talk about, but what I will say this, I think the most important takeaway from tonight's episode is simply this. You can't have an individualistic society and need a collectivist solution and expect to survive. Some problems that we have are only going to be solved through collectivism. That said, folks, I'm going to bed. I will see you next time. I don't want that shot. I want the closing music. Do I even have the closing music anymore? What the hell, man? I'm pretty sure I do. Don't I have a closing? I know. Oh, well, you know what? What's really good is, let me pause, catch my breath. Twitch, where are we going? Who are we rating? Twitch. Who are we rating? I'm trying to find my closing video. Oh, there it is. I found it. Okay. Night night, everyone. Oh, I missed one. Hang on. Let me hang on. Ooh, when you miss, people be like, I know you did not miss. And look at the one. Okay, here we go. Oh, wait a minute. It's a whole gang of super chats. I didn't go through any super chats. Okay. Buckle up, folks. We got at least another 30 minutes here. Let's go through the super chats. How did I miss all these? Jesus Christ. Oh, that's right. We're not going to do all the super chats. We're going to do as many as we can. Misty Bauer says, this was a long weekend without Pastor Ben and the Church of Truth. Hope you had a blessed holiday from the painted dragon of the Dragon Squad. Thank you, Misty. Misty said, please speak to those who think that COVID-19 is caused by 5G. Oh my goodness. I hate to have to even have that conversation, but you're right. 5G radiation poisoning and not by a virus. I've been bombarded lately, and I think this is dangerous, crazy thinking, and not sure how people can buy into this. It's something that I call false epiphanies. Anand Girdadas called it false consciousness. I sometimes call it false wokeness. But it is foolishness. That's what it is. Goddamn foolishness. Nick said, Ben, not trying to change the subject, but I'm curious about your opinion of Biden's pick of Karine Jean-Pierre on his communication staff. I love her, but that's me. Yeah, I've actually met her in person. And when I tell you, this doesn't, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about where she would stand on every single issue, but I can tell you that she is like literally the nicest person that I've ever met in my goddamn life. Like, she was super nice on a weekend full of nice people. So if that counts for anything, I think we're in good hands. Pieces of Verb said, Dixon, let's talk strategy. Next two terms. power, amass power outside of the Democratic Party and inside of the Democratic Party. Amass power. Thank you, Ellie Void. Tija said, chair fund, bless up from the Gator Squad. Yeah, we saw that. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I'm just reading some notes from my producers. Infinite Content said, I'm a bit wary of these vaccines haven't been checked for how long immunity lasts, for how long-term effects. Search thalidomide babies to see what I mean. Okay, we'll search that. Or actually, my producers did search that. But, and he said thalidomide is a medication used to treat a number of cancers and skin conditions. It causes birth defects when given to pregnant women. Thousands were. Okay, well, we'll have to. I trust scientific consensus. The question isn't whether or not we could trust scientific consensus. The question is are we going to really get the scientific consensus? Are we going to get marketing packages? Masha said, I wish we also talked more about men are dying more than other genders. I think people are afraid of sounding like toxic masculinity groups. Catalot said about masks, people refused to wear them in 1918 too. Still, you think that modern medical knowledge would have taught people some things. You know, the bottom line is whether or not you respect truth, even when it's inconvenient for you. Period. Miss Teach said, can we take a moment and talk about the sheer madness amongst the evangelicals? You did. Thank you for doing it. Because if I start talking about them, I'll be here for another 2 hours. Boonswangle be good times. You guys be killing me with these names, bro. Don't want this, period. You know what I don't want to be? An accidental murderer, a murder. A single mom who lives in my building, other parents. A year pause is well worth not being involved in death, pain. The right kind of selfishness. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I like that at the end, especially. You said a single mom lives in my building, other parents. A year pause is well worth not being involved in deaths / pain. The right kind of selfishness. I don't want my neighbors to get sick. I don't want my neighbors to grieve. I unpacked that the other day because I've been doing a lot of self-reflection. A lot. I'm a whole different person. You guys are not even going to recognize me going forward. Yes, you will. But I was doing some self-reflection the other day, and I really unpacked why I was concerned about my neighbors not getting it. It's because I don't want sorrow on my street. Now, I have the capacity to expand that empathy to my online street. My online street is a lot bigger than my street. I got like 3 neighbors that I know, but like I'm surrounded by like 8 neighbors. I'm in, suburbia. And I realized I just don't want it to come to my street. Part of it is because I don't want to share I don't want that sorrow. I don't want it for them because I have this thing called empathy. And if they are in sorrow and grief, I'm going to feel it. So some of it is selfishness. Right? And that's a really weird way to say I'm compassionate and I don't want them to grieve because I don't want to share in their grief. But you got to have empathy to understand that level of selfishness. Right? You got to have empathy in order to understand that is the appropriate type of selfishness. I don't want that grief. So I don't want you to have that grief. So if I need to do a couple of things to make sure that you are safe, then that's just yet another way it's in my self-interest to do the right thing by you. Ultimately, I'm trying to share a worldview that it is in our rational best interest to do right by other people. Catalot said about mass people. Oh, yeah. Okay, we did that one. Miss Teach, can we take a moment? Yes. Evangelicals. Did I get everything? I don't want to miss anything. Okay. So thank you, Nick, for reminding me. Because Nick don't play. Nick don't play. She was like, I sent in a super chat and you will read my... No, I'm just messing with you. I think I said two really dope things in tonight's episode. I'm not going to remember the first one. Hell, I'm not going to remember the second one. I just have to go back and listen to it. All right, folks, have a great evening, and I will see you. Did I find my closing music? And I'm so glad I didn't find my last closing music, because if I did find it, then I absolutely would not have found, remembered that I didn't remember. Nick in the audience was like, that little short nigga didn't even read my comments. Excuse me, folks. I'm sorry. I got a little too comfortable with y'all. But Nick saved the day. So that end, I'm going to put closing. Where's my closing? With that said, good night, everybody.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show. If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.